Let me pull this up. So here we go. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. Let's do this, guys. How are you doing, my friend Alex?
I'm doing all right. I'm actually gonna be honest with you. I feel kind of bummed, man, because I missed Virtual Fight Tour 3.
Yeah, me too, bud. So
you missed it too. Oh, that's right. We were texting about that.
Yeah, I know. So I just saw some of the highlights and just kind of kept up with what everything was doing. So, yeah, I know. So we kind of.
What were your predictions with it?
I think yours and mine were the exact same. I think actually.
So we didn't go down
because we didn't do an actual show.
I think you and I just talked about it. Is what it was.
Right. And we haven't done the main gang, so usually that's when we would do predictions sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So I picked Tyson.
Yeah, I did the same, and I picked
Jason.
Yeah.
And then after hearing about it, I'm like, I wish I would have. That's actually the fight. I'm like, I really wish I would have seen that fight.
What?
You know what I mean? After hearing CTE talk about it, I'm like, man, I wish I would have seen that fight.
I knew that was going to be the best fight as far as just head-to-head, so I was excited for that. Yeah. And then
we have Willie and Vito.
And so
honestly,
yeah.
I can't remember which one I picked.
You picked Willie.
I did. I did pick Willie. You're right. I did pick Willie.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the other one was Chris and Ant. And
I picked Chris.
You picked Chris. I picked Chris. By the end of the time, I picked Chris. I think originally I was picking Ant, but by the end, I was like, yeah, I'm going with Chris. And then
I knew it was going to be a toss-up, and I'm like,
Regina.
I'm just going to jump in right away. I picked Regina.
Right. Yep. And then Cam. So, yeah, we both picked the same.
Okay, so we both – right. So that's boring.
Yeah, no. Because we just – again, we didn't do a show like on that. So we'll have to do that on the next one. So we got some good ones coming up. But
so if he does a re-air – I'm buying that.
You're watching it. Yeah, definitely.
I might even just buy it at full price instead of the re-air price.
That's right.
See, that's like what I'm saying. That's what I said. Like, Joe, just put it on there. If you want to be on a subscription,
here you go. Just do it.
The subscription's there. You watch it. It's there for you, like Netflix.
Right.
You know, here it is. I can say, you know what? You know what? I still would have had to miss it.
Yeah.
And if I missed it, I still would have been okay with it because it's like I know where my money's going.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I would have been cool with it.
Agreed.
Look at that, Jesse. I was volunteering to pay the money. I was volunteering. Get on a subscription. Get us on a subscription, Jess. And then you just it'll just be our money. Is your game, I guess. If that's how we want to do it.
I think he's got it set up already that way. So it'll be
pretty cool.
But yeah, man. So we've had a crazy week. We've had a Texas week. So we've talked about
that's right.
The Texas Virtual Fight Tour on CTE. Last night, Gene and I were talking about Sidekicks, the movie, which is huge.
That's all Texas.
All Texas. And we had Wayne Wynn, the White Ninja, on. So that was fun.
I never met that guy.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So he was a cool dude. I haven't seen him or talked to him in years. So, but I know most of his students and for a long time. And then tonight we have Colby Northcutt Daniels on the show. So
is she a hyphen or is she just?
I'm not sure. That's what we'll have to ask as well. I don't know.
You know what I mean? It's fair enough. It's fair enough to ask just because it's like Colby Northcutt is a thing. She has a definite a following.
Yes,
Colby Northcutt. You know, but I get it. You know, new family. You know, here we go.
Yeah. Well, and I know
Bible
one of the big
says, leave your
things.
mother and father and you become one flesh.
Correct.
So now
Correct.
they're one. I don't know, but I don't know what the name means
Marketing
though.
though, one really was pushing the brother sister combo. You know what I mean? So I
So
know
I don't know
that
if
that was,
who knows
yeah,
though. But you
yeah.
know what
So,
though?
but
Would you change your name for your boss? If your boss said, hey, I want you to
no,
have this name,
no,
but you
no.
don't got a boss, so it doesn't matter.
That's right. That's right. Oh man. But yeah, so we're gonna get to talk to her in a little bit and kind of share her background and what it's like now. She's in California and what her goals are moving forward in MMA with one. And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, maybe we find out when we get to see her again fighting. And so that'll be happening pretty soon. But before that, just, like we said, it's been a big Texas week. So let's kind of just share some of the people that we think of when you think of Texas sport karate.
Dude, when I think of Texas sport karate, really, dude, if it wasn't for Texas,
Yeah.
if it wasn't for Texas, this might sound strange to people just jumping into the sport within the last 5 to 10 years. You might not know this. If it wasn't for Texas, martial arts wouldn't look the same, probably
Nope.
worldwide.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Definitely the nation. Right? Yeah. Texas is the reason why martial arts looks the way it does currently. Because if it wasn't for Texas, none of this stuff would be happening like that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's so many people that people think of them from a certain area, like say Jeff Smith, they call him the DC Bomber, but he was in Texas.
Where's he from?
Right.
Texas.
Yeah. And so many like that. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I think of, as far as for me in our era, I think people definitely think of Regina. Regina Thompson is in a lot of ways, the queen of Texas over the past year. Before that, you think of the other greatest of all time, Linda Denley. So you think of those two.
But then even around that era, now you're talking about, think of all the great Texas fighters, men.
Right.
Around that time, you're talking about
McCullum,
guys, Ray McCallum.
Yep. There's so many, that were from that era and from that area.
And then even just before that, then you're talking about guys like Skipper Mullins. You're talking about like Pat Worley, when you're talking about the mid to late 70s.
Amazing guys. You have Havana's, they call him the Greek, Demetrius the Greek. And he was such a big, amazing kickboxer, but also taught so many kickboxers and point karate fighters that in the longest running sport karate circuit in Texas, the AOK, their highest award every year is called the Greek Award. So it's based off of after him. So it's pretty cool. So that guy, he's taught so many amazing people. So I mean, I always think of Ray. You get into that.
Ben jumped in right away and said Ray McCallum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ray is awesome, man. You have, I know in the NBL, Texas was, just huge.
Right.
As far as just so many different.
Because there's a big tournament in NBL. Wasn't it Yellow Rose? Is that right?
Yellow Rose was big. Before that, there was always Karate Olympics. That was a big one.
Okay.
In NASCA, when there was the Texas Challenge for a while. In the early 90s, that was put on by Al Garza. It was the AOK tournament and a NASCA one. And so it was really cool because when I would go there, I would get to see people that never left Texas and then see people that were NBL competitors and NASCA competitors. So it was like
so interesting.
We got to see a whole, and the tournament was in the Astrodome. So it was awesome, man.
So what's Ben saying? He was such a stud, point and kickboxing.
Yes, he was.
Mr. A spoke very highly of him. Yeah, that's right. And he's talking about Mr. Anderson, obviously Steve Nasty Anderson.
Yeah. So one of my favorite Bill Wallace fights to watch was him versus Ray McCullum.
And there's a point in that fight where, so Bill Wallace was the guy, right? And Ray McCallum, I don't know if it's McCallum or McCullum. I don't know, but I'm just going to say, I'll probably say both multiple times on the show, whatever. And Ray was like, I think he was like a light middleweight, somewhere around there.
Right.
And he's like on the come up. He's the new guy.
Right.
And I think like
it wasn't
Bill,
a
like,
title fight. It was more
wasn't
like
it?
an
I think it was an
fight.
exhibition fight. Yeah.
Right.
And Bill was kind of just being lax one time after they like touched. It was just like in the middle of the fight. And I think Bill went to touch gloves and Ray just like clocked him.
Yeah.
And Bill doesn't really get phased by the shot. He turns and looks at the ref and is like, and you can tell he's like, I'm going to kill this young kid now. Right.
Yeah. And he tried.
And that was kind of the turning point of the fight.
Yeah. Right.
But
dude,
Ray's Texas strong though.
Yeah.
So if you remember when Jerry Fontenez was on, Jerry dropped so much that we really couldn't even pick up on everything that he talked about.
No.
Because he, in like a 10-second time span, he would drop 3 minutes worth of info and content.
Correct.
And what he mentioned is guys in Texas used to call the karate or their taekwondo Texquando.
Yes. Yes.
So, and obviously the guys that I'm close to, right? They came from Texas. So, yeah, and we'll have some people on later on.
Yeah.
We'll drop it at the end of the show. We're gonna drop who's coming on next week. I'm not gonna tell you now. Just know
we'll
it's
get
big.
Even more. We'll even get more of a.
It's big.
So it's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be big. So it's pointless for me to spew it out because it's
that's
dumb.
Right.
But the point is that they all came from Texas, and that's basically what they did. They loved smashing people hard. All right.
Yes.
And that's kind of what it was about.
Right.
Now, go ahead. You look like
as
you got
far as
say.
once we kind of got into that 90s, late 80s, 90s, you had a lot of, well, actually, even Tony Lopez was an amazing kickboxer and he was an amazing point fighter, but he became one of the best forms competitors as well. And he was a big name at that time from the 80s to the 90s. And then he ended up having, the Yellow Rose in a big tournament. Also, though, like Texas in the 90s was known as like where all the all-around competitors came from. So in the NBL, if you were from Texas, most of the people were from Texas. They were competing and kicking butt. You had Adrian Ulanov winning 7 world titles in the same year with different divisions, different styles. Chris Sublett doing the same thing. You had someone like Adam Longoria doing the same thing. You had all kinds of different people. You also had teams from Texas that were coming out, especially in the NBL. You had It Ain't Easy, which was that
was a team.
Yeah, it was It Ain't Easy 1, It Ain't Easy 2, and they had some crazy. So they were the team. Do you remember the story that Mike was talking about with they got in on stage at Super Grands and they got into a fight on stage and someone went through a table.
Yes.
So that was the team that was fighting them. So they were going at the 2 years before that they had won the team title, and then they had fought Full Contact, their team.
Okay.
So there's that. There's also the firefighters team that was put on by a guy named Neil Adams, and I
did know about.
He had a big team for a while there. As years kind of went on, well, so many others from Texas were a part of other teams. But, you had TKO, which Wayne Wynn, which was on the show last night. He had a big school that competed everywhere. You had, let's see, really when it kind of pushes.
You're trying not to jump current
going.
Yet.
Right. But really the next one would be GOP, right? So Gallios Oil something. But it was their old plant. And so they sponsored and they had a huge team and really.
That was a good talent.
Really
I remember competing against them.
They were who pushed, NBL in that 2000s kind of range, So it was just so much talent. Chris Gallio and his family did a lot to help. You also had people like Ishmael Robles, who was an amazing kickboxer, and he had a big tournament in Galveston and ended up having one in El Paso. So yeah, man, he and that's who taught Regina Thompson.
Right.
There's so many. Just amazing. Yes, oil and petroleum. Yes, and
that kind of what it seemed like. That's what it was going to be.
Right.
Right.
It was pretty cool, man. So it just Texas just always has been. I mean, it's a huge state. It's I think of it as its own country. So
Yeah, it ain't Delaware.
no.
Yeah.
But then even and see some people leave
No
out.
slight to anybody who's from Delaware. Sorry.
Correct.
You ain't as big as Texas.
But some people leave out areas that have made a huge impact on the sport. And one that I always bring up is the El Paso area. Jennifer Robles had a big tournament out there, and she taught several great people like Laco Villanueva, who has Team Alchemy, and they have won on every single circuit. Waco, WKC, WKU, NBL, NASCA, go to US Open and win. And this guy just produces some of the best there is. And you guys have talked about his kids and stuff, winning at WKC and seeing them. And they're amazing. And he's done an amazing job with that school. Another one, of her students from there was Daryl Lewis Gandhi.
Yep.
He's done the same thing. And so many that have just pushed the envelope in that area. So it's really cool. And then you get down to the other end and you have Vito and
Team Gypsy, yeah.
Right, and you have Chance, you have Chad Cannon, you have all these guys that are continuing that legacy of Texas.
So here's a question then, and I'm gonna lean on you with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Two of them actually. Who is the best? Who's like the representative, the best competitor from Texas? And I'm going to leave Regina out of this right now. I'm going to say currently, only because it really did kind of sound like she's hinting on stepping out. All right?
Right.
So let's and that's not a disrespect. So let's
you're talking about right now, current.
Right now. So that's one question is right now. And then who might be the best all-around competitor from Texas all time?
All right. So
what do you think, man? I'm going to lean on you with this one more now, because I'm aware of it, and I step in on it, but I'm not immersed in that like you are.
Some of the people that are big right now that can do a lot of big things aren't originally from Texas. They're like transplants, like someone like Ramel Gargolis. He's not.
Yeah, but that's all right.
From Texas,
but that's
he's been there
I'm not
for
Chicago,
over 10 years.
Because I'm
that's
not.
True.
But I've been here. But that's the weird part. I've been here.
Willie's been in Texas
just as long
years,
as I've been in. Right, Willie would be a great example.
Right.
Wouldn't you say Willie is Texas?
Even
though he wears
now,
the Detroit hat, I would say so.
Right.
Because think about it, as far as competition years, I've been in Illinois as just about as long as I was in Minnesota competing at its top level, right?
Right.
So someone like Willie or those other transplants like Romel, like you would say, like, you still count. You know what I mean? We count you twice.
Right. That's a hard one. When I was there there's so many good competitors. It's hard to even like think about. And I
don't hurt no one's feelings. Big deal. Don't care about no one's feelings.
I'm just trying to think of like an all-around competitor, and that part's kind of hard. As I don't.
I don't know.
I
don't know all time. I can only have an opinion on current.
I think as far as I don't say current, I'm saying future-wise. I think Alex could be.
Alex Mancias
could be the future for Texas, right? Because he does forms, weapons, and fighting, and he's on the biggest team, as far as the highest profile team. So, I mean, he definitely could.
After hearing about his fight with Jason, I didn't think Jason was going to, fall down as much as they said he did.
Right.
I didn't think about that part.
Right.
Which I want to talk about something about that later.
Bear is definitely an amazing competitor. He is up there. I would actually put someone which will be on our show. So I'm going to say the Northcuts to me are the best all around.
I was kind of wondering if you were going to say that. I mean, think about it. Haven't they won the most championship?
Yeah, both of them have. So Colby and Sage, it's hard to not split them up, and it's hard to pick one or the other. I mean, I think
because weren't they always winning at the same time?
It's
not like one of them wasn't and the other one was dominating. You know what I mean? They both were kind of always dominating.
And some people could say that Sage was more athletic, but they're athletic in different ways. You know what I mean? So it's to me, they're the two best all-around competitors from Texas ever. So it's
well,
it's
yeah,
cool
Sage is more athletic. I mean, he looks like a cartoon.
He
Like he
definitely
looks
does.
like humans don't actually look like that. He looks like, you know, when you used to draw like the Ninja Turtles as a kid, you were like, all right, I'm gonna, enhance these muscles because
Right.
it looks cool. Sage actually looks like that.
He does look
right?
like. You're right.
He actually looks, and then but with the biggest, brightest teeth smile ever.
That's
You're
right.
like, this doesn't make sense, right?
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, I
Oh,
kind
man.
of. But you know what? Currently, I feel like Chad Cannon might be the best all around.
Yeah, and that's kind of someone I would think about as well. I've just known him for so long, so I'm thinking he's it just depends on what he decides to do. If he's gonna keep moving in that way or go more to I think right now
I
he's
know he's
focused
got
so
a
much.
thing.
He's
got a
focused so
thing
much on his
working on.
school and some other things that he's working on. So, with
Chad
Carmichael and stuff.
Cannon is always somebody I quietly paid attention to. I
Oh, yeah.
always watched Chad Cannon, but like didn't want to like put it out there because obviously, Jeff, don't I have a history of jinxing?
Yeah, it's true.
I
Yeah, you
don't
do.
get it. It's a match. There's
Oh,
two
man.
people in the match. There's a 50-50 shot. And I'm pretty smart when it comes to martial arts knowledge and understanding and breaking down fights. Like I see things people don't understand what they're seeing.
Right.
Yes, when it comes down to verbalizing the outcome.
I've told you, man.
I get it wrong 90% of the time.
You look at some different things, which
I
get.
it's dude. I tell you, it's not that. Like it's like, all right, like Willie. Willie got hurt. I picked him.
Right. Yeah.
Like what?
Luis was asking my thing, but Sage is doing full contact. Yes, that's why this is where we were getting mixed up. He was the answer to my second question, which was who is the best all around of all time in Texas. But as far as currently, I see Alex, and then you see Chad, which I think as well.
Chad is current
of all time. I say
Alex
Sage,
is the future.
Yeah, correct. And so I think Colby and Sage to me are the best all around competitors.
So it's like a 1,
right,
2, 3,
right.
With the North Cuts.
Yeah.
Chad Cannon, and then Alex Macias.
Yeah.
And is that kind of what you're thinking?
And all of them can do all the divisions. So that's what's pretty cool about it. And I think that's something that is rare, but you only really see it in Texas, that all-around competitor. So,
yeah.
But, all right.
Speaking of all-around competitors.
Yes, let's go ahead and get to our guest.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, guys.
What's happening?
How's it going?
How are you, Miss Daniels? So we already had a question, all right? Are we hyping in it? What are we doing?
Obviously, people are still going to call me Northcutt. And you know what? I even told one championship that I added Daniels to my last name, but they want to keep Northcutt in it in the association with Sage. So legally, it is Northcutt Daniels, but, I go by either.
Right.
You respond to either. But
yeah,
I
respond to either. Yeah,
I get what you're saying. I get it.
Awesome.
Well, just since you mentioned that, right? How long has the marriage been so far? How long have you guys been married?
Little over a year. We were married in August last year, so I mean it's flown by. Especially this year with all the COVID stuff. I feel like this year's just gone by like that. But yeah, everything's great.
Yeah, it's not a normal first year of marriage, I would assume.
No, definitely not. I mean, great.
You guys don't have an average one. You guys just have a different lifestyle anyway, just because you're not living your day-to-day, working lives. You guys have a very unique lifestyle and system as to what you guys are doing.
I agree. Well, yeah, thank you. I think one thing that makes us work so well is that we not only grew up doing sport karate, but we also share the side of fighting professionally too. So obviously we understand each other with that professional aspect as well as the sport karate, professionally, non-professionally, all that. So we are very much alike, but very different in so many ways, but we're a great pair.
Right. Which way I want to say this first of all, Colby, it's great to meet you. We've officially are meeting for the first time. So yeah, it's great to meet you.
Say that again, Alex. Sorry, you cut out.
I said it's great to officially meet you. We just jumped into conversation like we've been talking to each other for 6 years.
Yeah, it's very nice to meet you too, Alex.
Thanks.
That's awesome. So again, Colby, let's go ahead. Just what's it been like in California, living in California compared to Texas? What's some of the biggest differences?
Oh my gosh. Everything. Well, first of all, I'll say some positives. The weather here is gorgeous. So, I'm from
Yeah, what I say.
Houston, so we're used to the hurricanes, we're used to the crazy weather, the humidity. I see why everybody always says when you come here, you pay for the weather. So it's beautiful all the time. I can't complain. Right now we're getting some horrible winds and stuff like that, but I mean, everything, that aspect is great. But everything is so dang expensive here. I'm so used to affordable thing. I mean, gas, all of it is so expensive to live here. That was a little bit of a culture shock for me. That was the thing that I think I don't like the most. But everything else is great. I mean, I obviously moved out here for Raymond. I love Texas, and I'll always be a
Right.
Texas girl. I'm trying to convince him to move out there. We're looking at Austin properties. My parents are out there in Austin now, so
Okay.
we're looking. Obviously, we have our karate school here and our life is here, but maybe sometime down the road we go back to Texas. That's what I would like.
All right.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
So somebody told me this about living in Texas, and this
Okay, what?
was because I was talking. Okay, this is when I was living in Minnesota, and I asked them. I said, "Hey, what's worse, Minnesota winters or Texas summers?" And I was surprised, and they said Texas summers. And I said, "What? Get out of here!" And they
Really?
said, now I didn't even know this was a thing, Colby. I didn't know that this was a thing. That people say, well, yeah, when you go grocery shopping, you have to bring a cooler with you.
Wait, okay.
I said, what are you talking about?
Where was the person from that you were speaking to?
Houston, right?
Oh, okay, I understand. Yeah, okay.
Oh, all right. So,
I can see that.
So
I've never experienced Minnesota winters though. So I've never experienced that side. So I don't really know,
they're
but
nothing. They're
I don't like the
multiple
cold.
20 below. Like,
no way.
No
way. I'd much rather live in Texas and deal with the heat. I'm used to it than Minnesota.
So,
yeah.
But this is a weird thing. I'm like, well, why would you bring a cooler with you to go to the grocery store? They said, because if you get ice cream, by the time you get home, it's melted all over your back seat. And I'm like, oh, dang, I didn't think of that. They're like, yeah, you can't have anything like that. I'm like, oh, wow. That's weird.
I can see that. I don't buy ice cream too often, but I can see that.
All right. Now you're shaming us, Colby.
Are you kidding me? No.
That's right. That's
funny.
No,
I can see that though. I mean, I was never, no way. I mean, I was never that extreme, but I can totally understand where they're coming from with that.
All right.
All right. So explain, Colby, just how you grew up in martial arts. How did two amazing competitors, actually three, because your brother Sean as well, just come out of this family? What was it like? What was the mindset? And just kind of give us a little bit of background of that.
Yeah, for sure. So I started karate when I was 7 and Sage was 4. So we're 3 years apart. Sean was 1 at the time, so he didn't start till later. But I started about 6 months before Sage, and we were actually under Mike Fillmore. He was our very first karate instructor ever. And my dad, a lot of people, know that, and he coached others. But yes, we started, and then one of my very first tournaments, actually, it's really funny. It was the 2001 Super Grands. It was in Hollywood, and I was a yellow belt. And so we didn't know anything about NBL. We didn't know anything about how the seedings worked and conferences and all that stuff. So we went all the way out to Hollywood and competed in Super Grands. I'm a yellow belt. I think I was in the 6 and 7-year-old division. And I had 21 consecutive fights, no seed, wild cards, 21 consecutive fights. Boyce did the little fun fact thing about me in the magazine, and I ended up winning the division.
Right.
And so that's how it started.
What 7-year-old can do that?
It's crazy, right?
I'm telling you, it was nuts.
Yeah.
So after that happened, that's when my dad was like, okay, I'm never letting that happen to you again. And that's when the tournament stuff started for us. That's when we started learning about how conferences worked and seedings. And he was like, okay, so again, when it was really cool, but that was, obviously you can imagine an all-day thing with the 2 minutes and all that, no breaks. It was rough for a little girl. So then, that's when it became serious. So we started obviously traveling all over the place. We went to basically every NBL national for I can't even tell you how many years. We ended up doing,
Yeah,
you know,
forever.
WACO and ASCA and all these other leagues too. But yeah, forever. I mean, now as an adult and I look back, I don't think as a kid I appreciated what my parents did for me as much as I do now. And holy crap, the amount of money they spent for
Yeah.
not only all those
Oh.
tournaments, but the amount of divisions that Sage and I did, it was nuts. So, you know, at Super Grands, I'm competing in like 9 divisions. Sage is competing in 14 divisions, literally doing everything except for breaking that you could do.
Right.
So, I stopped years until I stopped like 18 or 19. Sage was 15, 16, something like that when we stopped competing so often.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of got into a whole big spiral. And I didn't even start karate to want to compete. I didn't even know anything about that. I was a little girl. My dad put me
Nobody
into
does.
it. Yeah, I mean, I got into it to learn self-defense and to have fun. And then Sage,
Right.
being 4, would go and watch me every day. Is like, I want to do it too. And then it just turned out to be something like, okay, well, we were learning really fast and we ended up being, you know, good. So it turned into a competition. And then I feel like another thing too that kind of Sage so more than me was it's really unfortunate, but you can't really go and take sport karate into college with scholarships and all that
Nope.
stuff. So by the
Right.
time you're in high school, you're looking and you spend all this time training, competing, money, and then you and then you kind of ask yourself like, what do you want to do? What's worth it? So, you know, obviously our career choices shifted just a little bit. We're still in the same field, not in sport karate anymore, but yeah, it obviously we wouldn't be where we are at professionally if it wasn't for sport karate and my dad and mom.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're absolutely right in that.
Yeah.
Well, with everything you said, because I've mentioned this on the show before, if you're not careful, sport karate will chew you up and spit you out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if it will do that if you let it. Some of us know that going into it, well, we just love it so much. We just want to be in it and around
I know.
it. And that's okay.
Yeah.
As long as you know that going into it. But I like what you mentioned about like your approach afterwards, like just see with having the foresight to say, okay, we're putting this is life. Like we had Rudy Regnion on last week, and he was like, you know, I trained as hard as I ever did when I was like 13, 14. He goes, this is just life. I train all day. This is life. And that's kind of the same thing what you're describing. Like, this is just life.
That's
but then
all
you see it coming ahead and you're like, well, is this what life is really going to be? Is there life after sport karate? And it sounds like you guys had a good outlook as to where you were going to go after that. Why MMA?
Okay, so I was actually in high school, and I mean, I started jujitsu before I was in high school. Sage wrestled a little bit in high school, junior high. So we'd always kind of cross-trained in other martial arts. We did boxing too. We did Golden Gloves. We did all sorts of stuff.
Oh, okay.
The thing is with me is when I was in high school, women were not in the UFC yet. So Ronda wasn't even in the picture yet, you know, in the UFC. She was in Strike Force by the time I was like junior, senior. One of those things to where I was already set in my mind. I was going to go to college. I actually wanted to be a broadcast journalist. I wanted to be a newscaster. So that's what I was going to go to school for. But then we had a friend who worked in the UFC was like, hey, there's this girl named Ronda Rousey. And at this time, Dana White was like, women will never be in the UFC. So I was like, there's no point of me training MMA. I can't go make a career out of it. I can't go make money at it. You know, I might as well just go to school. But this guy told my dad and myself, he's like, no, there's this girl, Ronda Rousey. She's going to be in the UFC. It's going to change things. Watch. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to trust the process. So when I was 18, I graduated high school. I didn't go to college. I stayed home, obviously lived with my parents. I trained, had a lot of amateur fights. And then after a few years of having amateur fights, I was like, I mean, women were in the UFC, but you see the numbers. And honestly, in my opinion, MMA fighters get way underpaid.
Yeah.
And that's not because I fight. Like, you look at what boxing MMA fighters, so women still are not getting what I feel like they deserve. But I'm looking, I'm like, okay, so we have a few years, like, Yeah, that's the great point. Yeah,
It
you're
doesn't
right.
matter whether
It's
it's
but it's your
women or men.
livelihood.
Nobody's getting what they deserve. But you're
Right.
right. Women.
Yeah, I agree.
No, nobody's getting what they deserve.
Yeah.
But the women are definitely getting the raw end. I get that. I get
Right.
what you're saying.
I agree. I agree. So after a few years of having several amateur fights, I was like, man, well, I thought it'd be a little bit different than this. So took a break from amateur fights, went back to school, got my degree real quick, crushed classes, and then went back and then started fighting again. And by this point, I had already moved back out here, found a new gym, found a new home for MMA, and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Wow.
And it's funny, sport karate, because I never thought in a million years that, I mean, it was maybe in the back of my mind, like when I was done fighting way down the road, but that I would be a karate school.
Yeah.
And yes, it's been, but I'm around those kids, 5 days a week. We're teaching classes, running an after school program, doing the office, and so I'm around it all the time. And it is just such like looking at it at a different perspective from being the kid competing and being so invested and then having a different appreciation for it. And then I see those parents too that are really invested in their kids' lives with karate. And it's really great to be like kind of on the other side of things now.
Correct. Yeah.
So what's it like as a full-time martial arts professional running and owning a karate school or karate schools now? I think you have two, right? You guys have two?
We have one.
Okay, you got one. Okay.
Yeah, we have one. Yeah, world champion karate, obviously. Raymond and
Right.
Steven Horst, they are the owners. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm owner by marriage, but I run all the office stuff. Yeah, I run all the office stuff. So I could teach if I wanted to, but I actually run all that stuff. It's really cool to be obviously a part of that. And I would love to get out there and teach. Raymond's like, oh, we don't need you to teach. We have plenty of instructors, but I'm very fortunate that obviously being a business owner, I make my own hours, so to speak. I can do office stuff from home, go up there whenever. So I do have the flexibility to train in the morning, train in the evenings, and be up at the school during the day. So I'm one of the very fortunate and blessed ones to be able to have that flexibility for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Colby, what is next as far as with your ONE FC career, and what are we looking for? I guess probably 2021.
Yeah, obviously that's not what I was planning this year. I wanted to knock out 3 or 4 fights really fast because my last one was in November, so it's been almost a year.
Right.
Getting new fighters with their hands a little bit difficult. I'm hoping they'll tell me that I can go over there and fight by January, February at the latest. And then I would like to knock out as many as I can to kind of make up for this year. So I'm just kind of waiting for that right now.
Where do you mean?
In Asia. So their hub for ONE Championship is in Singapore. So all of my fights would be pretty much over there. So that's what I mean in regards to that. They are having fights.
So what's Singapore like?
Hot as crap. It's like Houston. Terrible.
Yeah. Singapore is hotter than Houston.
We were there in November. Keep in mind, it was horrible. The humidity was terrible, but it was incredibly clean. Not one single piece of trash on the streets. Everybody was so nice, but the humidity was just like
telling me.
Humidity is terrible.
So
but
a buddy
it
of
was
mine lived in
clean.
Singapore, I think for 8 years, and he said it's like the melting pot of the East. And he says, when he said, I don't know this because I never lived in Singapore, never been in Singapore. And he said, and maybe you know this more. Mm-hmm. He said, actually, the dominant language there is English. Is that your experience?
That's right. Yeah. Everybody there spoke English. Never had one encounter where nobody could speak English. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Melting pot's a great word to describe it. I've actually heard the same thing being described by people over there as well. So really cool, really beautiful. Awesome. The first time that I went was actually for Sage's fight that he had about 6 months before my debut. And I was able to fight in the exact same arena and everything that he fought into. So I got to kind of preview a little bit and see how that all went down. But gorgeous. It's gorgeous, very clean. Everybody's so friendly, but it is hot. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I don't do well with that.
So Colby, I heard before,
for the snow.
I heard before Raymond in an interview saying how nervous he was during your fight, and how he gets. So how is it on? Let's hear on your end. What's it like when he fights for you?
Man,
Oh,
okay.
good one,
So,
Jeff.
so I always get nervous. I mean,
Who wouldn't when your
I always
spouse
get
is
nervous.
fighting?
Right. Raymond, Sage, it's funny when they were both competing. When Raymond was only doing kickboxing, I'd get nervous, but I'm like, okay, he's Raymond. Like,
Right.
it's not that big of a deal. Like a little bit nervous, but when he switched over to MMA, that changed on a complete level because obviously that's new for him, and he's going against people that are obviously, higher level on the ground and
Yeah.
all the cage work and everything than him. So like I'm the person that's in the audience, Jeff, watching. I was screaming like a mad woman. You have no idea. I used to not be that way. When it's only kickboxing, I'm not that way. But MMA, I guess. I mean, man, MMA is dangerous. You take an elbow. I mean, you saw when he got his eye cut. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
from Nikki
Ooh.
Holskin.
Yeah.
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 I mean, anything, little gloves. I mean, you just take something the wrong way. But I don't know. But I've had fights before. But my last one, it's funny. I don't know if he told the story on his interview, but he was in my corner for my last fight. And my opponent's already in the ring. They're saying my name. They're introducing me. I'm at the curtain and I'm about to walk out. And he's standing right beside me. He is so nervous. He threw up on the floor right beside me. And I'm literally in gloves about to walk out. Like, how do you think that makes me feel knowing that he is like, could have splashed it on me? I don't know. It was right there.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
See, the funny part about that is
he looked like he was about to cry.
Oh man.
Yeah, the funny part is we've all seen like him get nervous like before he fights. It's like, oh, he's got to throw up.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to the point where it's like, once we see him starting to, it's like, oh, that's right. He's got to do this thing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have thought he would do that before you fought. That would have
I wasn't expecting that either. And then you know how when you hug your corners before you walk into the ring, he's like almost in tears. And that like I'm having to like not take that like
yeah, what the heck are you supposed to think?
Yeah.
I know, man. Like I look back, I'm like, oh, that's sweet and stuff. And he laughs about it now. But I had to like, okay, don't think about the throw up, like just ignore it. Just that was rough.
Yeah.
So that's so funny.
Oh, man.
Yeah, don't think about the throw up that just happened.
Right.
That splashed your feet right before you go fight.
I mean, that last fight was the biggest fight I've had in my career. So that was crazy. And he laughs about it now, but I don't know if it'll get easier. I hope it'll get easier for him on his end.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's funny.
So Colby, we were talking about Texas sport karate and legends, and who are some of the people that you looked up to and maybe that you think were some of the best in Texas?
Yeah, I got a few of them actually because I heard you guys kind of talking on the show before me.
Nice.
Chad Cannon was a great one. Obviously, GOP, Chris Gallio, our whole team that we had back in the day, it was fabulous. That being said, Regina was somebody that as a woman, I looked up to and aspired to be with, and we trained with multiple times from the same team. She's somebody great. And then actually somebody that I grew up fighting in all like AOK and all like the local Texas circuits was Chance Turner.
Yeah.
Before somebody that was great too, that we always had our battles and continuous fighting actually. But if you're talking about athletes, somebody that I looked up to in particular, I want to say Regina, because obviously, I mean, she needs no introduction. She's Regina and she's phenomenal. But as a woman sport karate fighter, she's somebody who I thought was awesome.
Yeah, she took it to the next level.
I got a question for you about the Texas sport karate competitors. Jeff mentioned that there's so many people from Texas that are so great, but don't leave Texas. Is that your experience as well? All right.
Yeah.
So with that, who are some people that are like, you wouldn't even know how great this person is, that we would not know? Somebody that that's like, you wouldn't know unless you know.
I mean, when I was younger, I did all the Texas circuit I got a little bit older, started traveling a whole lot more. I mean, the few people were the ones that we mentioned where they were from GOP. When I think of awesome Texas teams, I think of what GOP was back in the day. So anybody from their team was awesome. Team Alchemy has a lot of great people back in the day that were, fantastic fighters.
But see, a lot of them I would have known. Tell me someone.
Yeah,
that was
I
like
can't really, I
on
guess I
that
can't really
level
answer that.
I probably wouldn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I guess I can't really answer that because, when we were doing that, I was not only, I was a kid, that was so long ago, but
That's a good point.
I think
I haven't been around.
I think Colby, someone is one that taught you. I think a lot of people, even though he did compete all over in NBL, but I don't think the outside people know him, is Willie Galvan. I think Willie is amazing, and he was like the first person that did 5 divisions and won 5 without losing any a round or anything like that, and did that.
That's a
like,
huge.
2 years
I don't
in a
even know
row.
who you're talking about. Who is this?
I got my
Who's this guy?
I just got my fourth. Yeah, I just got my 4th degree black belt from Willie, actually, Kaji Kembo black belt. He did soft style,
dope.
continuous fighting,
Congratulations.
point fighting. He's fantastic. 20 NBL world titles. That's a great one, Jeff. I actually can't even believe I didn't even say Willie on my own. He was awesome. Yeah. He could fight too.
So
he did all the soft style and stuff, but he could fight. He was tough.
Yeah, he was he was an amazing continuous fighter. Great at Kempo, traditional soft style, contemporary soft style, and soft style weapons. And so he won all those. So, amazing fighter, amazing guy.
Yeah.
And he's still doing it. So.
Yeah. He's awesome. We still stay in touch with him every now and then too. Kids, great. He's got a great relationship with my dad.
Yeah. Awesome.
Colby,
awesome.
Have you paid attention? Have you paid attention to this virtual fight tour thing that's been happening?
Yes, I have not actually watched any of it. I've only seen highlights, but only because I have not. I've seen highlights and stuff, myself and Raymond, but to be honest, between our own training and our school was closed and now it's back open, between Zoom class and stuff, we're just busy. But we know our good friend Robbie was on there, and a lot of other great competitors were on there competing and stuff. So I think it's a really cool concept.
Well, he was in a different one. That I want to talk about later.
Oh, okay. So then I'm guessing I'm getting
the
ones mixed up.
Yeah. Well, there is 2 right now.
Okay, I didn't know
they're
that.
Similar in the sense that it's like pay-per-view for all of us, but they're formatted slightly different. But,
okay, so how are these run?
So here's where I'm getting at. So what I wanted to know was, did you watch it and who did you pick? So because I don't know if you heard this, but Jeff and we usually make picks as to who's going to win one thing or the other. And I tell you, I'm really good. I'm really, really good at always picking the wrong winner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like all the time. So don't fight in the virtual fight tour because I might pick you.
That's funny. So when you watch MMA and stuff like that, are you usually good at picking winners there too? MMA fights and bets and stuff like that?
No, actually, I don't have that bad, but I'm pretty much, it doesn't, you know what? No, I'm bad. It doesn't matter. Actually.
So what you pick, we should actually go for the opposite.
Yeah, pretty much.
Colby.
Always.
It sounds like a joke because we're laughing about it, but it's actually got to the point where it's real. All right. Here's an example.
Okay.
Jeff and I talked about this. There's the Super Bowl, right? For the past 21, did I say 21 or 22 years?
I think you said that, yeah.
I have picked the wrong team 21, 22 years straight. That's not possible. Come on. Yeah, consecutive. That can't be possible. You have a 50-50 shot every single year. That can't happen. It happened. I don't know what to tell you. So
I don't know what to tell you either.
Actually, yeah. So what did I do? Oh no, even in boxing, the Lomachenko fight, I picked him. Yeah, Lopez won. I don't know what to tell you.
That's why.
You would think that's all right, Alex. You can't go wrong here. Guy's got the best footwork in all boxing. No,
That's funny.
Yeah. No, it's
not. And you messed up, and you picked Bailey over Jack, and so
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Jack Felton pulled it off and won. So
There you go.
that was a great fight, and you know, always love seeing. You know, I'm sure you guys still just trying to support and as much as you can the All Stars and those guys. So yeah. So I mean, I think there's some big things going on with the with these. Just everyone had to pivot with COVID, and so it's cool to see that Sport Karate has and kind of taking it to the next level with that. So there's going to be a Forms one and a Fighting one next month, actually in December. And
cool.
so it's going to be exciting to see how these go.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, you got to evolve, you got to change with the time. So that's really cool.
Correct.
Now, I know that you're getting ready and you're training for the fights that are going to come up next. I don't know how the contracts work in one, and please don't disclose any actual numbers, but are you on like a fight number for a contract? Like, do they have you for a certain number of fights, or how does that really work?
Every person's contract is different. Myself personally, I'll just tell you guys, I have a 5-year deal, and then afterward you can renegotiate. So
so 5-year, not 5 fight.
5 years. Yep. So even if I'm not even able to fight this year, that's still part of it. I mean, it's unfortunate, and then I'm sure, you know, you hear of stuff all the time to where they could technically rip up my contract and do a new one at any time. But, you know, one thing that I really like about Chatri and all of them over there at One Championship is they're all about honor and respect and like real martial arts.
Yeah.
So if you go, like you hear all the time with UFC, like you go lose a couple fights in a row, they'll cut you with no warning, even if, you know, that's not part of your contract. They can do that.
Yeah, that's very much so.
Showing 1, 2, 3 fights in a row. Very honorable. Yeah. So every fighter, it depends on your manager, depends on who works something out for you. A fighter could have a 1-fight deal, a 3-fight deal, 5-fight deal, or by years, or, you know, it's different for every person.
Awesome. So the UFC is a lot like the NFL, and One is a lot like the NBA.
You know what? You hear a lot of things about the UFC, but I honestly haven't really heard anything bad about One. And from my personal experience and seeing everything over there, and I mean, you could see, you know, personal friends, Uriah Faber, Raymond, anybody that, you know, would go over there. It's like they treat their fighters so incredibly well.
Wow.
With such respect.
Give an example. Give an example of one thing that you were like, all right, I didn't expect that.
Okay. When we went to even my fight, Sage's fight, the families, the way they cater families, they put the families on the front row at tables and served full on feasts, like 4-course meals. The place had fireworks. It was the most freaking, maybe you've heard of Joe Rogan talk about One Championship on his podcast. Most insane show production ever. Like it was so awesome. I mean, aside from I feel like it's also part of, and I don't want to come across wrong here, but it's their culture over there to treat everybody with such, you know, respect, which is awesome. And one thing that was really cool too is, I mean, their fighters over there, like Raymond actually had an experience when he said he fought over in Japan. The fighters over there, or the audience over there, will not boo a fighter if you lose. Like you don't ever hear any booing in the audience. You never hear any trash talk. You never hear anything negative. You know, if a guy gets knocked out and he stands back up, the crowd's cheering. Like it is literally positive, even their audience. So it's like you can't really have I don't want to say a bad experience, but that's kind of where I'm getting at. Really cool.
They respect just the art and the warrior spirit. I mean,
they respect you for getting out there and putting it all on the line. Exactly. Yeah. And one thing that's really cool that I love about them too is they are not only MMA. They obviously have kickboxing and Muay Thai. So they have 3 different sports you can fight in. So really they have Grand Prix. They have Grand Prix all the time. They have you know different fighters doing multiple sports and stuff too, which is really cool. So that opens up a lot more avenues as well.
Well, since you said that, wait, what is Brett saying?
So
Speaking
Brett
of your last fight,
you learned to grapple. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Which is really surprising because out of all of my amateur fights, all of my finishes are by submissions.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is ironic.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I actually learned to grapple. My jiu-jitsu instructor, he's actually out in Katy. His name is Jeff Messina, Revolution Dojo. But he is just, he actually fought in MMA himself, multiple. He's won, I can't even tell you how many tournaments and all sorts of things at jiu-jitsu. But it was just one of those things to where my dad put us in it when we were young. And it was consistency and practicing, and he paid for tons and tons and tons of private lessons. So it was repetition. But one thing I will say is, out of every aspect that you can train, from wrestling, jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing, even karate, is I feel like jiu-jitsu is the one thing for me personally that I feel like you will never, ever, ever stop learning. There's always so much you can learn.
That is an excellent point.
So like, I feel like in boxing, there's, only so many things you can learn, right? Three don't learn in boxing, footwork, whatever. But jiu-jitsu, it's overwhelming how much you can do and the different submissions are being thought up of all the time. So when you're looking at it like that, it's from somebody who loves to learn. It's my favorite sport right now, my favorite aspect, because you're always learning. And I mean,
Really?
I always feel like a beginner in there, no matter how much I know, and it never gets boring, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's like, I mean, I'm a super competitor, and I love to be the best one in the room if it's sparring and sport karate, and I can, beat everybody, whoever it is on the mat. But it's like, I like to win, but is that like really fun? For me, if you're always, when you don't have any competition, it's like jiu-jitsu, it's so just an immense amount of knowledge. It's awesome.
Yeah, well,
and Sage will say the same thing.
We all don't have that kind of success in sport karate. So yeah, it is fun to win, Colby.
I mean, nice to go able that I feel like for me, unless you're, thanks, Bear. It's so nice to see.
Yeah, Bear is saying it was
myself
great to see
when
you
I get in
fighting
there.
again.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to be in there fighting again. Bear's one of my oldest first instructors too. He's love Bear.
Okay.
It's nice to go in there in jiu-jitsu and feel like I'm not the best, if that makes sense.
Right.
All right. That's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I got a question.
Okay.
How long have you been fighting full contact?
Full contact. I had my first MMA fight when I was 19. So if you want to say,
Not even like pro fight or amateur fight. I mean, how long have you really been doing full contact?
What will you classify as full contact? Like
even
when I
your
did Golden
full contact-
Gloves?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I did continuous fighting ever since I first started. I had my first Golden Gloves fight before I was even and this is Taka. Carrie Hatley knows who this is, but it's like a obviously Texas kickboxing organization, and we grew up doing, I can't even tell you, just like karate tournaments. So many kickboxing actual tournaments, like in the full-blown ring with the big gloves and everything.
Okay.
Full contact fights by the time I was like 9-10 years old.
Right.
Okay, so about 9 or 10.
Yeah.
All right, so
I was doing continuous fighting back in the day before they split boys and girls. I mean, I was doing continuous fighting against boys, fighting boys growing up.
It is as full
kickboxing.
contact as you can.
It is.
All right, so then this I'm not getting then. All right.
Okay, what?
Look at my nose.
This
thing has been.
Hey, I've broken mine too. Mine's curved.
No, it is not. I'm looking at your nose is straight.
You know what's funny is that's funny that it's not, and that's actually one thing I want to get fixed. But I
what?
Doing in fighting. Anybody that knows me will tell you. Yeah, I've broken it.
Look at this zigzag thing. Yours is straight. You have a straight nose.
You're funny. Thank you. You're the first person to tell me that. Thank you.
I would never believe that you've never had, because that was my leading question. I couldn't believe. I'm like, I can't believe she's been fighting full contact this long. Never broke her nose.
Has a straight nose. Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jeff,
does
you
it look
might
straight?
remember.
It does.
Jeff, you might remember for a couple years, and there I even fought with the face shield.
Yeah,
I remember seeing you have that, but I remember feeling like,
because I had broken my nose a few times. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't
she's
think.
broken it. I've seen her break it several times, but yeah, it's
Mhm.
pretty straight. It's straightened up.
Mm. Thank you.
Chris
Awesome,
is messing
awesome.
with me. Chris is messing with me on the comments. He says, "Show her your hand and the finger." No, Chris. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to
Yeah,
see
his
that.
finger doesn't work.
Other hand.
My hand doesn't. It doesn't work.
Oh, dang.
Basically. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna show it anymore.
Is that
because
from
it's
over the
gross,
years, or is
Chris.
that from over the years, or is that from
No,
one thing that you did?
It's from one thing, and it wasn't
What'd
even
you
that
do?
big a deal. No, it's just everything everybody else has done. Dislocated a pinky, right? But it rotated. No, dislocated pinkies happen all the time.
Yeah, I've
Right?
never dislocated a pinky.
Here's what you do when you dislocate your pinky: you grab it and you pop it. That's all you do, right?
Okay,
I didn't do
I guess.
Yeah, he didn't do it.
I didn't do that.
So you just left it like that?
Yeah. Well, there was no medic at this tournament, and I'm like, I don't want to show anybody because I'm supposed to fight in the finals.
Yeah,
For team fighting. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go fight because it doesn't.
You know
hurt.
what? I probably would have done the same thing though.
Right.
But
Good thing it didn't happen to
I
you.
didn't know to do that. Yeah.
Right. I didn't know.
Right.
So
Didn't
I'm just
happen.
like, I'll just go.
Yeah.
Dumb. So so my finger basically rotated outwards.
Yeah.
So that's why it's weird. So anyway, yeah. Thanks, Chris. I gotta show people my gross hand.
That's
Right.
too funny.
Oh man.
That's too funny.
Well, hey, Colby, before we go, we always want every
Mhm.
guest to come on, and thanks for being our
Yes.
guest, to
Yeah.
leave a sounding message, a voicemail to the world, because everybody in the world listens to Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. So
That's
if
right.
you had a message to leave, what would that be? 1, 2, 3, world. We give you
Boom.
Colby Northcutt Daniels.
Man, with all this COVID stuff going on, the only thing I can say is keep training and keep doing everything 1000%, because everything is so uncertain in life and you don't know where you're going to be. But, keep doing everything to your full potential, and I promise you it'll be worth it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, it was great having you, Colby. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming on.
I
Yes.
appreciate you.
Yes, it was great having you. And we look forward to seeing you fight again soon. And I'm sure
Yeah, thank you. I do
and
too.
Raymond and Sage and everybody.
Mhm.
So
Next time,
Yeah,
next time
thank
one of
you
you
very
guys
much,
has a
guys.
fight coming up, let us know, and you come on here
Okay.
before the fight.
yes,
and
yes,
we'll
we
talk
would love
about
to
it.
do that. Yes.
That sounds great. That sounds like a plan.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you, Colby. You
All
have
right.
a great
Thank you,
rest
guys.
of your night.
Thank you. Thanks. You too, guys.
All right.
That's
man.
pretty good, man. When you're talking about Texas Sport Karate, I mean, Northcutt,
Yeah.
you were right. I didn't even really think about it, Jeff. You're right. It's like it kind of starts and ends with the amount of championships that the Northcutts have, and Colby's right there. It was really great to hear about her full contact career and how it's going. And
Yeah.
where
So
it came from.
that's something that
And I
always
don't believe her
mention.
that her nose has been broke. There's no way. Her nose is not broken.
Oh, I've seen it been broken. So yeah.
It ain't broken. It bled. It didn't break.
So I've that's something that a lot of people don't know is it's just on how much other stuff they did. They thought they saw them every weekend at a tournament doing sport karate, and that's just they thought, oh well, they don't do ground or whatever. Man, Sage was a wrestling champion. They were Naga champions. They were Golden Gloves, kickboxing. They've done it all, and so that was really cool. And we're kind of been grooming to be MMA fighters, I think, for years. So it's great to see them get that chance now to do it. So, yeah.
So let's move on to our next segment. What do you want to do first? You want to do our videos? You want to do our competitors?
Let's do our videos, and then we'll go to our competitors and finish off with competitors of the week.
Viral videos of the week. So let's see which one pops up. If you're watching live, that'll be great because you'll be able to see it, but
Yes.
you likely won't have any volume. For those of us listening right now over the podcast,
I think
we'll
we may
narrate
be
it
able
as
to.
much as we can for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll narrate it.
There's a couple of great ones. You put one out there. I was like, all right, this is pretty good.
Yeah, we don't have to watch all of that. It was a big, long video, but we can watch some of it.
Yeah, I like that. Let's see. We kind of sprung this on Produce too. So maybe
Yeah,
let's go
no.
into let's go to our competitors first, and then we'll let them get that one set up. That's fair because we just kind of
Yeah.
sprung it on them.
Right.
So I'll go first. My competitor of the week is Butch Marks.
All
We've
right.
mentioned Butch a few times
Yes.
on the show.
We have.
Never had him featured as a competitor of the week. So Butch, Butch was always just like a couple years younger than me, and I just remember thinking like, to this dude is the freaking man,
Yeah.
because he did it all. And we mentioned that a lot about a lot of competitors. Oh man, they did it all. They did
Yeah.
performance weapon and fighting. Oh man, they
Right.
did it all, and he was one of them. Butch had an attitude a lot like what his name sounds like.
Right.
But he was a special kind of cool as well. So obviously we know his sister Casey Marks, now Casey Nash.
Right.
All right. She was probably the more prominent one earlier on because she had the most success. She was doing a lot with the bow. All right.
Yeah.
When you think of bow forms competitors, you don't get too far before you mention Casey. In fact, you might mention her number one. It's possible. All right. So, but Butch, I remember I never saw him use a bow, but I did see him use a sword. This is back in the 90s. And I remember him doing a butterfly twist with a sword and thinking, that's freaking impossible.
Yeah.
Right. Thinking like, you can't do that. Right. No, that's crazy. If you think about it now, right. Yeah, guys, we're talking 25, almost 30 years later. Right. But at that time, right, there was only like a handful of people in the whole tournament that could even do a butterfly twist.
True.
Or that would even do a sword. Nobody thought to do those two things together.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he definitely influenced someone like Nick Begley to take it to the next level.
Absolutely.
And then others, you know. So yeah. So I mean, Butch was amazing. One of my toughest competitors, but also one of my favorite competitors to compete against because he pushed me and motivated me. And he was always one who just, you know, kind of gave me the respect as a competitor, you know, because we were kind of opposites as far as, well, in kind of a lot of the way we did stuff, except maybe our attitude a little bit when it came to the form. So it was always fun. He was one of my best friends competing growing up. He was actually one of the first. Him and his sister were like one of the first people I met on the national circuit that took me in. So it was really cool.
Yeah, they are a very cool family like that. But he's got a special style too.
Right.
So he did. Fast forward years after the end of their competition, they're on Team Paul Mitchell. There was like this time period. It was like, I think it's like 2000, and now we're in the year 2000. Oh, there's another guy. You know, if you're talking about, you know, an integral piece of the year 2000, it was kind of thought about.
We talked about that. Yeah.
All right, now he's the one that's going to start to take over. And early on in that year, it was like, oh yeah, he's the guy. Right. Everybody else is you're kind of competing for second when it comes to him. And then later on in the year came Steve Terada, and you're like, what the heck is that thing? Right. But he did. We mentioned this before. He had this kind of persona that said, watch the heck out. I'm whoop your ass, but I'm just doing forms.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So he's cool. But the other thing I liked about him is he was people in forms circles and the forms cultures. Jeff, you know this is true. Mm-hmm. They can be fake.
Yeah,
they can be fake.
Big
they
time.
They can kind of be oh man, we're friends, but then they'll talk behind your back.
Right.
There is nothing fake about Butch Marks.
Right. Yeah.
There's nothing fake.
Butch is the man.
Butch will just and Butch is not going to go out of his way to tell you he don't like you. But if you're just talking to him, Butch might just go, I don't like you.
Right. Yeah.
Don't talk to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Okay. Should we get into our
well, he was just getting a setup.
Good.
Yeah. So yeah. So and Butch is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He also had several fights in MMA. He's an amazing all-around martial artist that a lot of people don't realize. So he runs a jiu-jitsu school now. That's what he does. So
He was breakdancing for a while too, wasn't he?
yep, he was always good at that as well. So
My man.
yep,
All right.
he was awesome.
All right. Who's yours?
All right, so my competitor of the week, I'm going to stick with the Texas theme, and I'm going to go with a 90s competitor that was very big in the 90s in the NBL, and that was Adam Longoria. So Adam Longoria was a student of Wayne Wynn, who we had on last night on Fist, Kicks, and Flicks. Golly, I can never get that name right.
Ain't that hard?
I know. And he was amazing. He did nunchucks. He did Japanese forms. He did creative forms. He was an amazing continuous fighter and a breaker. The guy did it all. And he is probably the only guy that's maybe shorter than me. But he was just an amazing fighter, amazing athlete. And he was able to I love watching him and Chris Malaris do continuous fighting. They were each other's biggest rival, and it was the craziest thing ever. Just good, strong punches and spin kicks, crazy spin kicks, and punches and crazy spin kicks. And just excitement, right, that you didn't expect to see. He was one of the first to win certain divisions like Japanese and then creative, and in that time, in that era in the NBL. And he came back for a couple years with GOP and mostly focused on fighting, and did a great job. And now he is, I think, a strength and conditioning coach. And so he helps a lot with that, and he helps different people with bodybuilding competitions. So Adam Longoria, amazing competitor, great guy. And definitely want to hear more from him and see more from him in the sport. So another Texas legend. So
that's pretty good. Well, if the
man.
videos are ready, I would love to get into the viral videos of the week.
Yes,
we'll
sir.
See which ones we have. And big shout out. Thanks, Produce, for getting these ones set up. What in the world? Stop.
That's insane.
This is a stupid amount of athleticism.
Right. All right, let's get the sound off so we can talk about it.
Yeah. So this guy is literally flying through. So, he did a double pump. So he's got like a staff that he jumps over, locks his legs, pulls them back, and then comes back down again. Correct. So he's going in and out.
Out, and all the way back in, over. It's crazy. Let's see. His name is Jal Martial Arts. So Jal _Martial _Arts. Check him out.
I don't have the vertical anymore to pull that off, but that looks dope.
It's insane.
But see, the part that you miss on this is his shoulder flexibility. So when he jumps in front of it, look at how far back.
All the way back. Yeah,
and he's not bending his arms. He's not pulling it up.
No,
he's locking his arms, going all the way back behind his hips.
Right.
Stop. Look at that thing. Oh, no, this is my guy. Look at this. And one. You knew this, Jess. With the kick. He does like a tornado kick.
What the heck? Is that why he
brings the dribble through his legs? Come on, Jeff.
Oh, my God. All right.
He is a basketball ninja. Look at this, man.
Wow. This
is how an Extreme Forms competitor should play basketball. What?
All right, so this guy, this is that Kicks guy, man. This guy is been super popular. He has some of the highest viewed videos, and he's some people are calling him the king of kicks right now. So he's doing some crazy stunts.
But these ones aren't that hard.
Insane. That's crazy. Yeah.
Okay. So before he was just doing some kicks on paddles.
Right, that one wasn't. Yeah, just be patient. Would you shut up for a second?
The one where he basically
he just did 5. He did 5 kicks, right? Then he jumped on water. Now this one, the bottle
drops a water bottle on a basketball.
It's goes
flying
up
in the air now.
Yep.
He does a jump, spinning like hook kick. All right, that was pretty dope.
So these are cool when he climbs up the wall.
How he does the wall climb. Oh, he jumps off the other wall.
Yep, and round kick to the bottle.
No way. He's got milk crates stacked up to the ceiling.
Boom. Yeah. He gets creative. I like the stuff he does with the I think There's ones
That's
later, or maybe it was
freaking high.
earlier.
All
Yeah,
right, so this
that
dude
was
is
nice.
flexible. So he's got a tennis ball sitting on top, and he jumped up. It looked like it was the height of a basketball.
This
rim.
one. So he does a double paddle kick here. One's on the ceiling. One
Stop.
is up in the air.
He's got a paddle attached to the ceiling.
Right. He does the quint kick, I guess. Yeah. 5 kicks. Hitting
All right.
3 things, five things. Jump. Beautiful jump hook kick over the
That's
guy's
the best.
head.
That's the best
Yeah.
kick
These
over
are cool.
someone's head
So
I've ever seen.
he does this on CDs and hits it perfect. He does a lot of different stuff with the CDs. Like he'll hit a CD and hit it so hard to where it cuts a banana, or he'll sometimes do hook kicks with blades on it and cut different things.
There we
It's
go.
crazy.
See, jumping and kicking basketballs in the air. There we go.
Right. So
All right,
this
never
guy,
mind. This guy
popular, man.
might be the king of kicks. I gotta tell you.
At least kicking
No.
tricks. No, this is cool.
No,
Yeah.
no.
So he hit the bottom from halfway across the room. He hit it and it hit the other bottom.
See,
Yeah.
he started out slow
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
built up.
Right. It's
Wow.
pretty cool.
All
Pretty cool
right,
stuff.
that was pretty.
So this
dang
guy,
dope.
yeah, this guy's good.
This is the greatest. If anybody's ever watched
All right,
it to the dojo
Turn the volume
before.
up on. Turn the volume up on this one.
Yeah, we can start this one over and turn the volume up. This is fantastic. Best line.
He
you
should
know
have
what-
asked for directions from across the street.
And
Oh man.
Everybody, you got to look at this. It's massive. If you've ever watched Enter the Dojo with Master Ken, you got
Oh,
it. I think
it's
it's like
great.
in the very first episode too. They're great episodes. They're like 5 minutes
Yeah.
long.
Right. They're amazing.
But that line where he says, "Better to be tried by 12 than carried by 6." Any bad karate instructors said that before when they're talking about teaching self-defense.
Right.
Better to be tried by 12 than carried by 6. Like, come on, guy.
Oh,
Be
man.
realistic now. No, I don't want to be tried by anybody.
Right. Oh man. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff. I love watching these videos. They're fun. Oh man, yeah. But can he hook kick a Dixie cup out of someone's mouth?
No,
Well,
Chris, I'm not even close to.
No, we're not doing that.
what this guy. No, he's referencing the fact that I've done that.
You've done that. All right.
But no, I'm not jump spin kicking CDs in
It's
between
crazy.
Coke bottles and then slicing bananas with them. No.
Yeah.
Thanks, though,
Pretty
Chris.
crazy.
But no way.
Awesome.
Oh,
Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Dad. for
thanks,
watching the
Papa
show.
Das.
Appreciate it. Oh man, yeah. So we had a good episode tonight, talking about some Texas sport karate things and the legends. Just kind of touching that a little bit, and then getting to get a deep dive into Colby Northcutt Daniels and just her background and some of the things that she's done, accomplished, and where she's going, and how, you know, the difference in living in Cali.
Hey, wait a second. You didn't say why you weren't able to watch Virtual Fight Tour on Saturday.
You didn't say either. You just said you were busy.
All right. Well, I was. All right. Fine. You want to spin it back on me? Fine. I'll tell you.
No, I was out. I was on a date. So yeah.
Oh, that was better than me.
Yeah.
I was. I remember I told you, like, all right, I'm gonna try this DJ thing. Let me see how this
Right.
goes. I was doing my first event. I was DJing someone's wedding.
How was
So I gotta
it?
tell you, nah, I thought it would be funner than it was. I mean, wedding DJing is simple. They don't want you to do anything. They don't want you to. They don't even want you to beat match. They don't want you to fade. They don't want you to do nothing. It's just like flip from one
Right.
channel to the next. Fade,
But don't they want you
flip.
to get on the mic and get us?
Oh yeah, trust
excited
me.
and
You
do
don't have to
fun
tell me to
games?
get. You don't have to tell me to get on the mic.
Yeah, I know.
I'm already there.
I know.
Like this guy was out there.
I gotta tell you to shut up.
One of the.
sometimes.
Oh yes, you do. This guy
Like today,
Okay,
actually.
here's one thing I'll tell you about this thing. There's two things I'll tell you, which one of them I can't believe happened. So one of the groomsmen comes up to me and goes, "Buddy, hey, make sure you play Billie Jean, man. You got to play it." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, you pretty good, man. You just watch the dance floor. I'll give you the cue. You play it. Watch the dance floor." I'm like, "Oh, you
Oh man.
don't suck. Don't suck,
Yeah.
because I'm
Right.
not bad. All right?
Right.
So if you give me something suck, I'm going to call you out on the microphone. And he sucked. And I did.
Oh man.
Well, he cares, right?
Right. Wow.
Now, here's the other thing. So I was under strict instructions to not play WAP.
Uh-huh.
No matter what. Like
No matter
the
what.
the wedding venue said, listen, you're not playing this song.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, I get it. And they go, the people might want to hear it. There's a lot of old people there, grandmas and grandpas. If we're a type of venue that plays that, it's almost 100% someone's going to complain and leave a bad review. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll do what you say. The bride and the maid of honor came up right to
Wow.
my face and said, listen, we want you to play this song. And I'm like, I don't know about that. And they were like, they told me 3 times. And I'm like, I triple checked with them. And I'm like, all right. So I played it, which I was like, whatever, go ahead. What made me uncomfortable was the 12-year-old girls that were dancing with them. And I'm like,
Wow.
I feel really, I feel dirty
Yeah.
now.
Right.
I want to end this song early. So it was bad. Yeah.
Oh man.
So that's what I was doing.
All right, Mr.
Yeah.
DJ. That's cool, man. That's
Nah,
pretty awesome.
I wouldn't even call it that. All I'm doing, I'm
You're playing
just
music.
picking songs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
I'm playing music,
Yeah.
right? I'm not gonna pretend to be. I'm not like I am better than what I had to do.
Right.
But I'm not gonna say I'm at that level. There ain't no way, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
actually, here's another thing, because this whole system was messed up, and that they had Nick Schneider bailed me out again. I FaceTimed him and he bailed me out. No joke, straight up. Thanks again, Nick. You bailed me out.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just had I had some belt tests and doing things like that, and just having a great. See, I knew something was going on. Alex, we lost you, bud. But anyway, guys, we hopefully we'll get him back, and then we can end this properly. But any other questions you guys got about our show, about what we think is coming up? We need to let you know what's going to happen next week. We have a great interview next week. So it's going to be pretty exciting. I was going to let Alex share that one, but I don't know. But guys, one of the reasons why we wanted to bring Colby on, again, we talked about having Texas fighting, and just to share the amount of just different stuff that she did growing up. And so remember, it's another example that we can do anything. So we're great at sport karate, but a lot of us have other things that we are good at as well. And so the way that her parents just really supported them and helped them and pushed them, and we are looking forward to that. So yes, sir.
I'm pretty sure his battery died.
Battery died. All right.
Yeah.
All right. We probably not gonna be on. So next week, and see, I always mess up which person this is, so that's why I didn't want to share. I wanted to let him share it. So he said he's backstage.
No, he's not backstage. I don't know where he's at. He's not back here. So.
Oh man, this is a fun ending. Oh man. So anyways, we have one of the founders of the Diamond Nationals. We have one of the amazing kickboxing legends. We have John Worley coming on next week. All right. And so we are going to really just get into Texas sport karate, Minnesota sport karate, the Diamonds, the background about the Diamonds, about all kinds of stuff that he is going to get into. The beginning of, just the tournament and what else, just all the different things. So it's going to be pretty exciting. Next week we'll have John Worley. So our history buffs get on and have some fun.
Sorry about that, man.
All right. I was
my bad.
wondering, man.
You announced our guest for next week?
Yes, I did. We had a crazy ending to the show so far. So
Then
yeah,
that was
man.
weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
But anyways,
so
man,
that was why we didn't want to get into
too much.
too much of what's gonna happen, what we know about Texas so far and all the history we know, because John Worley is sure to talk a lot about it. I can't
Correct.
believe it.
And
He's
again,
actually said he's going to come on
to
too.
talk about that, and then also, you know, the diamonds and different things and all.
Yeah,
that.
we're going to talk pretty
Yeah.
heavily about that.
Yeah, so it's pretty awesome. So we're gonna have a great show next week. We had a great show this week, and just guys, keep supporting us, keep sharing this live video. Go out and leave a review on our podcast, and just thank you for supporting Martial Arts Inner Network, the Inside Scoop with us, and we will see you guys next week, right?
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See ya.